You can pay off your house, get the deed, and still end up holding your breath in your own living room. I remember that little hit of relief. The last payment clears, the app says, paid in full. And for one night you sleep like nothing can touch you, like you finally did the grown-up thing and you're safe now. Then 6 months later it's a normal Tuesday, one call, we're restructuring, your role is eliminated, and suddenly the world looks the same but it doesn't feel the same. Because now every small thing has weight: groceries, the electric bill, insurance, gas, the car that decides this is the week to break. You open your bank balance and it's thin. Because you've been sending every extra dollar to the mortgage, doing the responsible thing, building security inside the walls. And that's when it lands, sharp and quiet. There's a lot of money in this house, but none of it can move. You can't pay a mechanic with drywall, you can't buy time with a brick. And when you walk into the bank for a home equity line, they don't even argue, they just say it flat: no income, no loan. And you walk out of the bank not even angry, just hollow, because they didn't really deny you forever, they just showed you how the game works. Money goes to people who don't need it, and the moment you actually need it, you suddenly feel invisible. You get home, you look at this paid-off house, and you start noticing the stuff you didn't feel before because the mortgage was the loudest thing in the room. Property taxes didn't disappear, insurance didn't disappear, and if you've got an HOA, they'll still send their letters like clockwork, and those letters don't care about your sense of freedom, they're just dates and amounts. And if you miss them, the system stays quiet too, right up until it starts moving without you. The worst part isn't that you're short on cash, it's that your money is stuck in one place. And that place doesn't help you survive the next 3 months, because life doesn't ask, is your house paid off? Life asks, can you cover today? Can you make it to next week? Do you have anything set aside for when things go sideways? And there's another thing people don't like saying out loud: when you get nervous, you move faster, you call around, you send messages, you start hunting for options. And that's exactly when banks hear risk in your voice, they hear urgency, and they shut down even harder because they want a calm borrower, not someone trying to climb out of a hole. So yeah, on paper you're sitting on a real asset, but you don't have a pause button, you don't have a pull out a slice button, you don't have a buy time button, and that's when the feeling of safety starts to smear like paint on a damp wall. Last week a guy messaged me, let's call him Chris. Nothing dramatic, no movie moment. And that's exactly why it sticks, because there's no hero stuff in it, just real life where you're trying not to sink. Chris had a steady job, and he was paying his mortgage faster than the schedule, throwing extra at it every month because it felt cleaner in his head, like he could finally relax if he just got to zero. And he did. He hit zero, closed it out, took a screenshot of the paid-off notification, sent it to his wife, they ordered dinner, exhaled. For a couple weeks he walked through the house with this quiet feeling, nobody has me on a hook anymore. Then his department got shut down. At first he reacted the way most people do. It's fine, I'll find something, the market's still moving. But while he was sending out resumes, the bills kept dropping, and everything started hitting at once, like someone pressed a stress test button. Insurance, property taxes, little expenses, and then the dumbest thing, the car, breaking not someday, but right now, in the exact week you need nothing to break. He described the moment in one sentence: I realized I had a house, but I didn't have air. He went in for a home equity line because it sounds logical, right? You've got value, you've got equity, you've got collateral. But they didn't even make it a long conversation. They asked about income, and once that answer wasn't solid, it was over. And that night he sat there staring at the walls, trying to understand how the safest decision somehow turned into the stickiest one, the most immovable one, the least helpful one, right when what you actually need is options, not a victory screenshot. When Chris told me that, it wasn't the layoff, it was how fast equity became a stage prop overnight. Every extra mortgage payment is a trade. You hand over flexible cash that could cover bills, groceries, or a few calm weeks, and you lock it inside the walls. To use it again you usually need to sell the house or get a bank to lend against it, and stress is when both turn slow, strict, and expensive. Banks don't really underwrite your walls, they underwrite today's stability, income, predictability, and how calm you look asking. And when the economy shakes, HELOCs get cut, appraisals tighten, lines freeze. The trap isn't home ownership, it's mistaking no debt for safety when real safety is options. And this is where the first calm idea shows up: no slogans, no do what I did, just a switch that gives a lot of people their sense of control back. Before you send one more extra dollar into the walls, make sure you actually have room to breathe. Because the problem isn't the house, and it isn't even the mortgage as a concept. The problem is building your safety in one single place, while your life has to run every day. And when a day breaks, what you need isn't net worth on paper, you need runway. You need enough space to tell yourself, okay, I've got 3 months, maybe 6, I don't have to grab the first thing that shows up, I can think. The simplest step looks almost boring, but it works. A separate account you don't touch, you don't mix with spending money, you don't label a vacation fund. You name it honestly, runway, air, buffer, whatever feels real. And then you send the exact amount you've been throwing at the mortgage above the minimum into that account instead, same auto-pay, same discipline, just a different destination. The point is those dollars stay yours. They don't disappear behind a bank door. And notice what this is not. It's not be irresponsible. It's not stop being disciplined. It's keeping the habit, while stopping the move that takes your hands away right when you might need them. If you're listening and you caught yourself thinking, yeah, this is me, you can like the video and subscribe, not as a guilt thing, just so you don't lose it. I break down these quiet financial traps in plain language, without noise, when there's something worth saying. After Chris's story, I keep thinking about another one, also an ordinary person. Let's call him Dan. No perfect discipline, no 10-year spreadsheet plan. He just caught himself realizing that what he wanted wasn't a pretty zero, it was the ability to survive a bad season without panic. Dan had a mortgage with a normal fixed rate, and he could have crushed it faster. He even started doing that for a few months, and it did feel good at first, like you're speeding up freedom. But then he stopped and did something that sounds boring from the outside, he kept making the regular payment on schedule. And he redirected every extra dollar away from the walls and into a separate buffer, first a high-yield savings account, then some of it in places he could still access quickly without needing anyone's approval. And the interesting part wasn't when he hit some nice number. It was when real life showed up the way it does for everyone. Medical costs started piling up, then layoffs started circling at work, and one day it hit him too. He didn't celebrate, he didn't give a speech. He opened his app and saw one simple thing, okay, I've got months. I don't have to flail. I don't have to sell something in a rush. I don't have to walk into a bank with my voice shaking. He kept paying the mortgage like before, but now it came from a different place. I'm managing time, not I'm trying to survive. And that was the first time he felt this quiet kind of calm. The house didn't feel like a trap, because right next to it sat living money that gave him choices, and choices are what actually loosen that tight feeling in your chest. That's not right for everyone, but I've seen how it worked for him. Less panic, more room to think. And here's what still sticks with me about stories like Chris's, because it's not about someone making a wrong decision, it's about the moment a single thought catches you, asterisk the house is paid off, so I'm safe. Asterisk. At first it sounds normal, even comforting. And then life doesn't test thoughts. It tests cash flow. Because a crisis almost never looks like a movie. It looks like a chain of small things that won't stop. 1 month without income. A second month with your nerves shot. A third month with that property tax notice, insurance that suddenly costs more, a repair you can't delay. And you start realizing no debt doesn't mean a buffer. You can own the house and still be living week to week, just like anyone else who doesn't have options. And if you compress what we've already said into one picture, it's this. The extra money you send above the payment doesn't disappear, but it stops being your fast solution. It becomes a nice number that's hard to reach at the exact moment you're stressed, and stress is the moment the bank hears risk and shuts down, because banks love stability, not I need this right now. That's why I lean toward a different, more grounded logic, asterisk air first, speed later. Asterisk. First, a buffer you can actually use without permission, without explaining your life to anyone, something that buys you 1 month, 2, 6, not as a fantasy, but as a calm, practical I don't have to blow up my life this week. And only when that air is sitting next to you, and you know you can take a hit, do the other moves become choices instead of rescue attempts. Because real security isn't the absence of a payment. It's having options on the week everything hits at once. And here's how I lay it out for myself, without big speeches, just a way to avoid that trap where everything looks great on paper but you still feel tight inside. The house is a roof, but calm usually doesn't come from the roof. Calm comes from runway. Because runway buys you time, and time is the one thing that actually gives you your control back in a crisis. So I don't look at it as debt or no debt. I look at 2 questions. First, if income stops tomorrow, how many months can I live without panic, without scrambling, without trying to squeeze money out of my walls? Second, when life is normal, where do my extra dollars go? Somewhere they can stay accessible and keep working, or somewhere they turn into a nice number I have to ask permission to touch. If your mortgage rate is reasonable and fixed, the pattern I see most often in people who end up feeling calmer is boring, but it's honest. Build a buffer you can access without approval first, then automate your extra money into places it's not locked up, and only after that decide whether speeding up the payoff even matters for you. And if your rate is genuinely high, or you know for a fact your extra money disappears into spending, then paying down the mortgage faster might not be a mistake at all. It's just a tool that fits your psychology, your life, your reality. The point isn't that everyone should do the same thing. The point is not confusing a victory feeling with a protected feeling. Because protected is when you still have options. If you want these breakdowns to keep showing up when you actually need them, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, are you focused right now on paying your mortgage off faster, or building a buffer first?